Good morning. I hope that you are all doing well on this Wednesday. I'm just going to spend a few moments trying to offer a few thoughts as we wrap up this first week on the emotion dimension of well-being. I wanted to begin by reading a quick excerpt but from the book The Next Right Thing by Emily P. Freeman. She says this in a chapter entitled Be a Beginner. All beginners, no matter what they are, hold elements of both joy and heartbreak. When we enter a new beginning, we have generally also experienced some kind of ending that comes with layered emotions and experiences of grief, transition, and letting go. Don't be afraid to be a beginner. Be relentlessly kind to yourself. Embrace this unique time of being a beginner. Let God teach you what is right, what to say, and how to think. There will come a time when this new beginning will not be new anymore, and you may not feel the need for Him as you do now. So let this new role teach you what it has to teach you. Let it form you into the likeness of Christ. Let yourself be a beginner and receive all the gifts beginning has to give. I found that to be just something that I've been reflecting on in the last couple of days as we are beginning in this new normal or abnormal, whatever it is, being kind of quarantined or at least social distancing. And I appreciated this piece about, newness brings on all kinds of layered emotions, experiences of grief, transition, and letting go. I found that to be particularly relevant to us as we're, entering newness and talking about our emotions and what are emotions and why did God allow us to have emotions that might hurt, that might be painful or unpleasant. And so I hope that as you move throughout your day today, you are relentlessly kind to yourself. Grace upon grace upon grace to you and to the people that you're doing life with, both on online platforms and perhaps more importantly, those in your living spaces. And if you are social distancing solo, please reach out to me. I'd love to connect with you. I can imagine that might create its own unique challenges, and I'd love to be connecting with you. Okay, here's the plan for today. I'm going to briefly talk about where we're headed, and then I'm going to pause and I'll come back in another video and answer a couple of questions. Here's what I'd like to do on Wednesdays, and honestly, I need your feedback. So send me an email, what's working and what is not. But I want to do a quick video that says, hey, I scanned the responses and I was looking for themes. It was so helpful for me to read your responses in the Google form for two main reasons. First, I am feeling really confident in this group. I've said this a lot to you. I have enjoyed this group of students a lot, and I was reading your responses and I thought, ooh, they are getting this. And where they're not getting it, they're either asking good questions or they're taking great initiative. And that's the second thing that stood out to me. Several of you said, you know what, I actually am feeling very confused. And I think if I go back and spend more time with this material, I can figure this out. I was so glad to see that many of you were taking that approach. Others of you were saying, hey, I think I get this content, but I have these other questions. So it was great for me to see how you're wrestling with the material. I'm not going to have the opportunity or the time to answer all of those questions because there were several and they were great questions. And I think in a lot of cases, you have the resources, whether it be doing some research or going back into the SRB and the student resource book to get that information. However, I want you to know two things. One, I will be back here answering what I think are like common themes or identifying, hey, this seems to be important to the group. And two, if you are not able to get the answers to your questions, that is when I would like you to send me a personal email. Michelle, I listened to the course content. I found your Wednesday follow-up video and I'm really still struggling with this. I would either do one of two things. If it's an easy question, I'll send you an email back. If it's conceptual and you're just like not getting through it, then I'd like to set up a Zoom or Google Hangout or phone call, whatever, it doesn't matter, to help you process, because I don't want you to get stuck or discouraged. Right now, it's really important that we use the momentum of, okay, we're changing things up, and we kind of fight through the beginning, right? This is beginning and it can be hard, but we need to give ourselves grace in that. And we also need to maybe dig in deep. So please reach out to me individually if you find yourself in that boat. I didn't sense that from most of the responses, and I know that you maybe were working quickly or in the midst of also moving out of the residence hall. So be in touch. Okay. All right. The last thing I want to say is on Wednesdays, and this is where I said, email me to tell me if this is working or not. I think what I'll do is I'll post this video and say, okay, here are some of the general questions, here or themes, things that are sticking out to you and your peers. And then I will, also just give you a couple other, like, hey, here's a video for those of you that want to dig in more to the Dan Siegel's hand model. I had lots of people say, I think I get it, but I'm still like conceptually massaging it, right? Trying to really have it pull together and make sense for me. So I'm going to pop on like a video from Dan Siegel himself so that if you want, you can watch that. There was a question about why are we given these like quote unquote negative emotions. So I'm going to pop on an article that you could read if that's your question, if you want to kind of dig into that a little bit more. The article I'm going to post doesn't specifically talk about God, but it does talk about reframing, thinking differently about negative emotions. And so if you're asking that question, why do we even have these? I'd like you to read that article and then process or do some reflective work around what we know about God and God's good design for our bodies and how that might help you with some of your thinking. And again, reach out to me. I want this communication. And so I'm going to not respond individually to the group. Hey, everybody send me your feedback, but I will certainly respond individually to your emails. Okay. And then, and there's like a devotional or rather a daily examine. We'll talk about daily examine when we get to the spiritual unit. But there's a daily examine practice that I have found helpful during this season. So I'm going to post that and maybe some other resources. And if you have things that are getting you through this season, send them to me. I'd love to add them to what I am envisioning as kind of like a, hey, Wednesday daily digest, things for we can join together collectively while we're social distancing to encourage each other's well-being, knowing that when we pour into our intrapersonal well-being, that will have an influence on our intrapersonal well-being, how we show up online, how we interact with our family or friends who we're kind of closely situated with during this season. All right, I'm going to pause it there. I'll come back with some feedback on this particular unit, but hopefully that gives you a good idea of where we're headed. Have a good one.